It is October 30th, 2012, and the question of the day for Hug Nation is, are there any positive outcomes of natural disasters? Where's the cone? Samantha Portela says, you're more likely to actually talk to and get to know your neighbors. Nice. I remember we had a power outage here, and it was people, were outside and meeting one another. Cool. Sarah Gilbert says, I think it humbles people lost in a technological age. I'm from New Jersey, where most of my town is without power, and it will probably not be restored for several days due to the tremendous amount of downed trees. Smartphone batteries only last so long, so once those run out, you're left asking yourself, what now? What is the hold this technology has on us? And look how easily it can be stolen. We are forced to have face-to-face conversations. I've talked with neighbors I haven't seen in weeks. I'm also hoping that a more serious look and discussion on climate change will emerge from this freak storm system. She also said that, I hope the cone is appreciating the real interactions we can have with people, and of course being grateful for making it through the storm. My heart goes out to those along the coast who got hit with the worst of it. Inez Cordson said, I think the cone is that people remember that they should respect all nature as a divine creature, which is much stronger than humans. Don't forget that most time Mother Earth is so nice and sweet. She really cares for us and she guides us because she is loving so much. But we as her children need to be educated from time to time. Kind of like a spanking. Oh, Inez Cordson is FNST. Sweet. He shares this poem. Beloved Great Spirit, beloved Mother Earth, beloved Father Son, I thank you for my life. I thank you for that I can open my heart more and more, for that I can connect my soul more and more, for that I can rise my mind more and more, for that you inspire me more and more. Thank you more and more. Brody said, I think it greatly depends on your point of view. If you ask Kali, she might say, that's just how I roll, baby. Sometimes you have to plow the field to make way for a new growth and possibility. But if you ask the person that loses everything they own, their livelihood and possibly even people they love, they might say something different. For me, the question really is always the same. How do I surrender and thus make it possible for me to stay in the space of love, even in the face of loss and tragedy? Whew. Good answer. Bridie said, I had a fence that was an eyesore. I should have replaced it years ago. A storm happened and the fence was smashed, whereas my neighbor's nice fence survived, not surprisingly. So the storm forced me to replace it, a good thing. Interestingly, the insurance would only pay because the storm broke it. I'm sure I could not have afforded it by myself. Look at that. Diana Victoria Hayes said, people may not see the cone until they've fit some ice cream back in it. Less of anything makes it rely on others or be horribly isolated without a bunch of stuff. Burners Against Scalpers says, I worked as a photojournalist on the Gulf Coast 6 years ago, and the one thing I've seen in natural disasters is that communities come closer knit and neighbors become helpers. And the random acts of kindness seem to flow more open-heartedly. I see it as a good way to put earthly things aside and give where you can, because it's a humbling thing that comes with natural disasters. Nice. Eleanor Justice said, aside from all the authentic connection, compassion, and reflexive generosity that happens when disaster strips away our collective veneer, it's such an incredible opportunity for gratitude. It's easy to be grateful, wrapped in ease and beauty, but it's bone-quakingly magnificent to feel grateful amidst intense natural adversity. And it helps us remember that at the heart of things, there is no them. Buddha Doodles shared a quote from Pema Chodron, who is badass. There is no way to make a dreadful situation pretty, but we can use the pain of it to recognize our sameness with other people. Danger Brown said, things like this bring families and friends closer together and reunited. We reach out to people we haven't talked to in months or years to say, are you okay? A few more. William Green said, like any other event, it depends on what you do after it happens. Dean said, when human beings reach out and help others in crisis instead of worrying about themselves is the cone. A chance to show compassion, doesn't come about through comfortable circumstances. Lindsay Ray said, whether it's a tsunami or an earthquake or a hurricane or any kind of natural disaster, it brings out our true nature, our original nature, as Lao Tzu calls it, which is reverence for all life, kindness, simplicity, caring, and serving. We show our love by God by serving one another. Please join me in continuing to send prayers, love, and support to those affected by the hurricane. Oh, that's a quote by Wayne Dyer that she shared. Nice. Shrishti Thorson says, new growth. Sometimes natural disasters purge the system and give the opportunity to create something new. Sometimes they even force you to take steps to start over, when of your own accord you would not be willing to take the risk. Nice. Ramona said, you get to witness who the real helping hands are in this world. Leonardo said, awaken compassion and erase differences between people. It's trickle-down enlightenment. It's like disaster that directly affects the few, but then it benefits many. Trickle-down enlightenment. Aloha Nualoe says, I've been through 2 major hurricanes on the island of Kauai. We had no electricity on my side of the island for 3 months. It took many months, more than 3, to clean up. Looked like a bomb went off. I found it amazing how everyone pitched in and helped their neighbors. People were feeding the neighborhoods and helping neighbors put tarps on their roofs or letting them camp in their yards and tents. I lived in Kauai for 24 years. These disasters brought the island closer together. Even the Red Cross and FEMA were awestruck by the love and outreaching of hearts. Was it hard? Of course. Many people lost their houses out to the ocean with no insurance. We all lost material possessions, but no lives. All in it together. Sometimes in life we're put in a situation that makes us way out of our comfort zone. It is what forces growth. We would not ask for it, of course, but it is hard not to go through a natural disaster without learning about compassion, accepting, giving, and receiving. Reaching out to others takes the focus off of our own loss in these times. But I suppose it can work both ways. Depends on each person. Becca Green said, the cone to me would be overcoming the pain and sorrow of losing my items. I'd value that my friends' family were concerned for me, wanting to help me, and above all else, that I was still alive. Alan Kane said, the good which emerges from people helping each other during and after, the lessons that occur during because of the law of attraction, which lead to balance and growth. Sean Shine said, there are so many horrible occurrences that many of us have experienced. Fires, floods, abuse, rape, death of loved ones, cancer, etc. While we wouldn't wish any of these things on, even our arch nemesis, many or most of us survivors wouldn't choose a different path if we loved the person that we are today. We love the person who has grown and adapted because of our collective experiences. Seeing the light amidst so much pain is going to be a very personal journey for everyone touched by this disaster. But even nature brings us hope with rainbows after the storms and fields of blooming flower. Even nature brings us hope with rainbows after the storms and fields of blooming flowers in the nutrient-rich, fire-destroyed earth. Amy Mama Mojo Barker said, the way that neighbors and strangers come together and help each other, it really is inspiring. Patrick O said, everyone learns something, constantly. Brandon Frederick said, people come together during disasters. It becomes a gifting community. If only we could become a gifting community without the disaster part. Jackie Opek said, self-reliance in neighbors beat government reliance hands down. Celery Blackrock has 3 answers. 1. The annual flooding of the Nile resulted in renewed fertility of the soil. Geometry developed to accurately measure farm plots so the Fellahin would know their rights, and the pyramids required that precise geometry. 2. Black Death resulted in redistribution of wealth in Europe and a gradual increase in the rights and protection of peasants. And number 3, the election of Richard Nixon proved that American liberals could survive anything. Venetia said, there's always a rainbow after the rain. Jeshua said, how do you know what kind of luck you have? And he says a link to the story of the Taoist farmer, which I believe is the story of the man who has the horse that runs away, and the neighbor goes, oh, you are so unlucky! And the horse comes back with a wild horse with it, doubling his horses. And the neighbor goes, oh, you are so unlucky! I mean, you are so lucky! And then the horse, as his son is trying to tame the horse, the the new wild horse, it bucks him, kicks him in the leg, breaks his femur. And the neighbor goes, "Oh, you are so unlucky." Every time the neighbor or the wise man saying, "Good luck, bad luck, hard to say." Then the army comes through town, recruiting everyone, and of course, the son with the broken leg gets passed over and not recruited in the military. And the neighbor goes, "Oh, you are so lucky." Good luck, bad luck, hard to say. It's impossible to know. The Course in Miracles says, you never know if you're in advance or retreat. Is the destruction of your property a gift? It's amazing. As I get older and older, I meet more and more people that have had experiences that on paper seem disastrous, but are what awoke them to life or to their gifts or to appreciate what they had. And it wasn't until they had some test that made them see it. There was an interview with Mr. Rogers after 9/11, and he gave advice to parents on how do you talk to kids in the face of all this evil? What do you tell them? You know, they see that there's people talking about this. They see that the news is. They go, "Oh, what do you talk to a kid about? How do you?" And he said, "Focus on the helpers." There are so many stories of people putting their risk aside and doing whatever it takes to help. Firemen, medical people, regular folks, dragging people out of rubbish, doing whatever it takes. This is a story about how humanity steps up and is of service to their fellow man when we let go of all of our stories. We get so hung up on the definition of that humanity, we're competitive, survival of the fittest. That's what humanity is. That's what human beings, that's what nature is, evolved us to be. But no, collaboration and working together and taking care of one another. That is what makes a tribe survive. In the massiveness of the modern world, we lose track of our tribe. A disaster often helps us feel that connection again. There's a lot of gifts. And kind of what Sean Shine mentioned, the story I tell all the time about the biodome experiment and how at one point they had these trees fall and they couldn't figure out why. Biodome experiment that happened in still going on in Arizona, where they tried to create a self-enclosed society, or not society, excuse me. Maybe this isn't the right story for now, but testing colonization in other planets, trying to see if they could get a biosphere going on inside a bubble. The trees kept falling, and they finally realized that, well, they brought in all these scientists. Is there a virus? Is there a fungus? What's going on? And no, these are healthy trees. Why are they falling? Finally, they realized within the bubble, there were no storms. There was no crazy wind. There was no whipping away, no rattling around of these trees. So without the rattling around, the tree did not grow its roots as deep as it would have in the wild when it had struggles. And so without the root structure, it never developed the base it needed to grow into the tree that it was meant to be. And while it sucks to go through a storm, and while it sucks to watch someone you love go through a storm, we all want to be and see the people we love become the people, the trees, the entities that they are capable of being. No great man or woman has a biography that says, everything's pretty cool, no struggle, all good. If we want to wish ourselves and others to be great examples of humanity, we must accept there are going to be storms. Thank you for all these amazing answers. I'm inspired by the people in the world that come together in this way. I hope that you're around and we have a storm and we can fire up the barbecue and the generator and all the other great disaster stuff that I've accumulated because of Burning Man, and we can have a party as the rain comes down. I love you. Thank you for your compassion and your thoughts. Namaste.